The Alaskan Hotel in Juneau, a venerable edifice of 3 stories clinging precariously to the precipitous slopes of time since the epoch of the Alaskan Gold Rush in 1913, exuded an aura of antique disquiet. Its aged timbers and shadowed corridors whispered tales not meant for mortal ears, secrets clung to by the very mortar of its foundations. On the 19th night of May in the year 2007, a callow sailor of the United States Navy, by the name of Marcus Chen, his youthful visage yet unmarred by the true horrors of existence, crossed the threshold of its archaic lobby. His request, uttered with a disconcerting earnestness that belied his tender years, was for the chamber known only as the Haunted Room. The clerk at the front desk, a man whose countenance had long since settled into a mask of weary indifference to the hotel's peculiar clientele and their even more peculiar whims, regarded the sailor with a flicker of something akin to morbid curiosity. But young Chen's eyes held a disturbing fixity, a hunger for the spectral that spoke of a mind already teetering on the precipice of the unknown. He had, it seemed, imbibed the local legends, the hushed pronouncements of phantasmal visitations within those aged walls, and now sought to confront the very essence of their dread. With a shrug that conveyed a silent commentary on the folly of human curiosity, the clerk assigned him to room 315. As Chen ascended the creaking staircase to the 3rd floor, the very air seemed to thicken with the dust of forgotten years. Sepia-toned visages of the hotel in its gold rush heyday, frozen in time within their ornate frames, lined the walls like silent witnesses to epochs of human avarice and despair. The wooden steps groaned beneath his weight, each footfall a somber percussion in the echoing stillness, as he navigated the labyrinthine corridors. Then, as the veil of night deepened towards its nadir, at approximately 11:45 of that fateful evening, a discordant chorus of frantic voices pierced the somnolent quiet of the hotel. Guests on the 3rd floor, their slumbers shattered by an unholy cacophony emanating from room 315, besieged the front desk with their terrified pronouncements. The night manager, a man whose skepticism had been eroded by years of inexplicable occurrences within the hotel's embrace, reluctantly ascended to investigate. He found the door to room 315 stubbornly sealed. His insistent knocking elicited no response from within. As he reached for the cold, metallic authority of his master key, a sound erupted from the chamber that chilled the very marrow in his bones. A catastrophic shattering of glass, as if some unseen titan had unleashed its wrath upon the fragile barrier of the window. By the time the manager breached the threshold of room 315, the scene that unfolded before him defied rational comprehension. The window was a gaping maw, a jagged tear in the fabric of reality through which the hapless sailor had apparently hurled himself into the uncaring void below. And Marcus Chen? He was gone, leaving behind a tableau of unimaginable carnage. When the officers of the Juneau Police Department arrived, their footsteps echoing with a grim finality in the haunted hallways, Officer Chris Gifford was among the first to step into the violated sanctuary of the room. What confronted his eyes was an abomination, a crimson testament to some unspeakable horror. The walls were slick with a viscous tide of blood, a horrifying tapestry woven in shades of deepest red. Macabre handprints, smeared and desperate, adorned the surfaces, as if young Chen had clawed in vain at the encroaching terror, seeking a desperate escape from an unseen tormentor. Yet, when they discovered his broken form upon the cold earth outside, a paradox emerged that defied all logical explanation. His injuries, grievous though they were from the fall, could not account for the sheer, unimaginable volume of blood that saturated the room. It was as if some unseen entity had drained him of his very life essence within those accursed walls, leaving his mortal shell comparatively unscathed. The following morning dawned with an oppressive pallor over the Alaskan Hotel. Betty Adams, the proprietor who had presided over its spectral tenants since 1974, found herself besieged by grim-faced investigators from the United States Navy. Their inquiries, however, were not directed towards the perplexing disparity between the blood within the room and the sailor's external wounds, nor towards the shattered window that yawned like a silent scream. Instead, they delved into the hotel's shadowed history, their questions probing with an unsettling specificity into the lore surrounding room 315. They sought accounts of prior incidents, whispers of the uncanny, as if the answer to the present horror lay buried within the hotel's haunted past. Then, a telephone call from the sun-drenched lands of Arizona shattered the already frayed nerves. Marcus Chen's mother, her voice a raw lament of maternal anguish, recounted a final, desperate communication from her son. Moments before his fatal plunge, he had called her, his voice choked with terror, babbling of a presence within the room, something malevolent that held him captive, refusing to release him from its unseen grip. A subsequent examination of the hotel's telephone records, however, revealed a chilling anomaly. No outgoing calls had been made from room 315 that night. Jill White, a housekeeper who toiled within the hotel's aged embrace, arrived for her morning shift, blissfully unaware of the preceding night's terror. Upon entering the lobby, she was confronted by a scene of grim activity. Uniformed officers conferring in hushed tones with the hotel manager, Scott Fry, whose face was a mask of ghastly pallor. When Jill ventured to the third floor to commence her routine duties, the yellow police tape sealing off room 315 sent a tremor of unease through her. Though forbidden to enter, a glimpse through the partially ajar doorway revealed a sight that would forever haunt her waking hours. The walls of the chamber, a canvas of dark coagulated blood. But there was something more, something that defied the chaotic nature of violence. The blood was not merely splattered, it seemed arranged. It was as if some unseen hand had deliberately inscribed cryptic symbols upon the walls, a terrifying testament to a ritualistic horror. Later that day, Scott, the manager who had borne witness to 12 years of the hotel's uncanny manifestations, drew Jill aside, his voice a low, conspiratorial murmur. He confided that over the preceding decade, a disquieting pattern had emerged from the occupants of room 315. Multiple guests had reported waking in the oppressive stillness of the night, gripped by a suffocating sensation, as if an unseen weight pressed down upon their chests, rendering them immobile, breathless in the face of an unseen oppressor. Though no overt violence had been reported prior to the tragic fate of young Chun, these shared experiences painted a chilling portrait of a room steeped in an unseen malevolence. A few days later, the oppressive seal of police tape was finally lifted, and the housekeeping staff, their movements imbued with a palpable trepidation, cautiously entered room 315. Maria, the head housekeeper, a woman whose 15 years within the hotel had exposed her to a litany of unsettling occurrences, declared this different, a violation beyond the pale of mere earthly disturbance. As they attempted to cleanse the room of its sanguinary stain, their cleaning implements seemed to possess a malevolent sentience, vanishing and reappearing in illogical locations. Maria recounted placing her cleaning bucket upon the floor, turning her back for a fleeting moment, only to find it empty upon her return, the scattered contents inexplicably arrayed in a precise, unnerving alignment on the opposite side of the room. And when their grim task was completed, the shattered window replaced with a sterile pane, an even more disturbing phenomenon manifested. The hotel's telephone lines became conduits for an unsettling demand. A deluge of calls from individuals specifically requesting the accursed room 315. The tale of Marcus Chen's horrific experience had become a morbid siren call, drawing thrill seekers and those with a perverse fascination for the macabre to the very epicenter of the tragedy.